Hello, everyone in the multiverse and beyond. This is your friend forever, Evan Lefavor, with an important video. Today, we're going to be discussing the truth about the fact that Christopher Columbus was pure evil, and Columbus Day is an evil holiday. Okay? Now, I know what you're saying. How could we have a holiday in this country that is celebrating an evil man? And we have all been indoctrinated with propaganda from a young age in this country to think that Christopher Columbus was some kind of hero. All right, that he discovered America and he's the only reason we're here right now. So that's why we got to celebrate him. All right, we were brainwashed to believe that he was some hero, someone to be celebrated, but it's wrong. Okay? Because Christopher Columbus was pure evil. Okay? And I'm going to explain to you just how evil he was and what he really did after he discovered this country. Okay? See, when Christopher Columbus first met the native people, they welcomed him. They trusted him. The native people they had never seen evil before because none of them were ever evil. So they didn't know what evil was from another human being. They'd never experienced evil from another human being. So they brought Columbus and his men in. They trusted him. They gave them goods, spears, all kinds of stuff. Okay? But they were so naive to evil and so trusting that Christopher Columbus thought that they would make perfect slaves. Okay? So that's exactly what he did. He enslaved the native people. All right? He essentially began the transatlantic slave trade by enslaving the native people that he found, that he discovered, these natives. Okay? So he not only that, but he and his men would rape the native women. Okay? They enslaved the native men and brought them to Spain on boats. They brought them to Spain to enslave them and turn them into slaves. Okay? But then they'd take the women for themselves, and they would repeatedly rape the native women until they broke them down psychologically and broke them down to the point where they were just a hollow form of their former selves, where they could manipulate them. All right? So it's horrible. Christopher Columbus and his men were rapists. All right? And they enslaved people. All right? And they turned the kids and adults, the native kids and the native adults, into slaves to mine gold. He would force them to bring them enough gold, and if they didn't get enough gold, Christopher Columbus would chop the children's hands off, or chop the adults' hands off, and make them wear their hands on a necklace around their neck to show other people, the other native people, what would happen if they didn't bring in enough gold. Okay? So it's horrible. All right? Christopher Columbus and his men would literally cut off the hands of the native children and the native people if they didn't bring in enough gold. All right? He turned them into gold slaves. And not only that, he took the 9 and 10-year-old girls and sold them as sex slaves, used them for sex trade. Okay? He would sell off 9 and 10-year-old girls and younger to other evil men to be used as sex slaves. Okay? And if anybody refused to be a slave, if anybody fought back, they would cut off their nose or cut off their ears. All right, or they would have let attack dogs attack them. All right, they would sick attack dogs onto them. All right, and sometimes if someone tried to escape, they would burn them alive in front of all the other native people so that they would be made an example of. Okay, so not only was Christopher Columbus raping innocent women, not only was he selling young girls for sex slaves, not only was he enslaving innocent children and men and women and cutting off their hands, but he was also burning them alive. Okay, Christopher Columbus was burning people alive. All right, and he would sick these attack dogs on the native people, and he would let the dogs pull off people's limbs. He would let them bite off their limbs, okay, because he would have so many of them attacking one person at once. It was horrible. All right, and then it gets worse. Okay, they beheaded and tortured and raped and dismembered over 3 million of the native people of one island alone. Okay, it's horrible. He would cut off their heads. This is Christopher Columbus. Would cut off the native people's heads. He'd rape the women. All right, and he would dismember people alive, cut off their arms and their legs, and while they were still alive. All right, that is what Christopher Columbus would do. All right, and he killed off an entire island's worth of people. They don't exist anymore. He killed off every native person of that tribe. Over 3 million people, okay? All dead because of Christopher Columbus in an act of genocide, okay? So he's also guilty of genocide, all right? So it's horrible. Okay, do you hear all the stuff that Christopher Columbus has been doing? What he did when he discovered this land, what he did to the native people, enslaving them, torturing them, burning them alive, raping them, selling the little girls as sex slaves. Oh, and they would also, to feed their attack dogs, if they ran out of food, they would grind up the babies, the native people's babies. All right, and feed the dogs with the babies. All right, so isn't that beautiful? Christopher Columbus is a child murderer as well, a baby murderer. All right, and this is all blood on Christopher Columbus's hands. All right, he was the one, he was the one orchestrating all of this. All right, these were his orders being fulfilled. All right. And guess what? The people who created Columbus Day, a holiday in the United States of America called Columbus Day, they knew everything I just told you about Columbus. They knew all of that, of all the evil things that he had done. They knew about all of it, and they still made a holiday about him. As a matter of fact, that is one of the reasons why they made a holiday about him. Because, in case you didn't know, the people who founded this country and the people who created Columbus Day, they don't care about the native people, all right? Because they murdered over 100 million innocent people of this land. They took over for Columbus, all right? They said, oh, Columbus, you're doing this? Well, guess what? We're going to get in on it, all right? And there's England, the sons and daughters of John Lackland, who came to this country to take it over. And they murdered over 100 million innocent native people in the biggest act of genocide ever in recorded human history on this planet, okay? Which means the United States of America is more evil than Nazi Germany, okay? Hitler he only killed 6,000 Jews. But the people who established America, the United States of America, they were evil people who killed over 100 million innocent native people and took their land by force and murdered them all systematically, okay? They even made it legal to hunt Native people, and you could turn in a Native American's body and get money for it. All right? And they're all following in Columbus's footsteps. And the founding fathers were also slave owners as well. The people who established this illegal country called the United States of America. All right? Because this is not a real country. This is the continued illegal occupation of this land by an invading entity from England. Okay? And that's the truth. All right? But now you know what Columbus is guilty of. All right? Sure, we are here and alive today because of he did what he did. But that doesn't mean we have to celebrate it, okay? All right? That doesn't mean we have to celebrate it as a holiday. That is an evil holiday. Columbus Day is an evil holiday for an evil country. All right? Any country that would make Columbus out to be a hero is an evil country. All right? And the United States is evil, and they try to cover it up with propaganda that they indoctrinate you with from a young age to make you think that all the atrocities that they've committed, all the great acts of evil and genocide that they have committed since this country was established and before this country was established on this land, the great evils that they did, they try to make you think it was okay. Because, oh, it's just America. You got to be patriotic. All right? But it's all bullshit. All right? Christopher Columbus was pure evil. All right? And now you know the truth about him and the evil that he committed. All right? So please do not celebrate Christopher Columbus Day. Question the fact, what kind of government would make a holiday celebrating him except for an evil one? All right? It's horrible. All right? Columbus Day is just as bad if they had Hitler Day. Okay? Could you imagine if a country created Hitler Day and it made a holiday to celebrate Adolf Hitler? That is what Columbus Day is like. That is the truth, all right? Columbus was that evil. Christopher Columbus was as evil as Hitler, all right? Maybe he wasn't bent on world domination, but the things he did, the evils he committed, the atrocities he committed against the native people that he discovered, all right, he is pure evil, all right? So now you know the truth about Christopher Columbus. Do not allow your children to go to school on this day and celebrate this day. Okay? It's baloney. All right? Do not allow your country to continue to celebrate this as a holiday, Columbus Day. There are many states, there's many cities, including Minneapolis, that have changed Columbus Day into Indigenous Peoples Day. All right? So we need the whole country to get rid of Columbus Day and turn it into Indigenous Peoples Day. All right? In remembrance of all the people, the innocent native people who lost their lives so that we could be here today. All right? So this is your friend forever, Evan Lefavor. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos and subscribe if you're new. And I will see you next video. Until then, bye-bye.